Hey, it's Jesse. Before we get into this week's episode, I've got to do all the fun housekeeping stuff because Danny, he had a few too many. It's whatever. Busy guy. He's out there with Jeremy in LA. They're filming stuff. It's cool. Maybe you saw something about it on Twitter. They get into it. Anyway, just wanted to give a quick shout out to the members of our Battle Pass tier over on Patreon. I don't know what that was. I'm sorry. It's a special tier for those supporters, not just at the top, but at the tippy top, tippy top. Those who are giving above and beyond to help keep the Noclip train rolling. And those people are Cody Krieger, Aaron L. White, Forrest Pruitt, Cameron Ladd, George Sirkotis. George, thanks for letting us know that we got that pretty right, mostly. And Toger Tiliev. Shout outs to all of them. And if you'd like to be a part of that list, or if you'd like to be a supporter really at any tier, head on over to patreon.com/Noclip. Sign up today, get access to loads of cool bonus content going all the way back to the start of Noclip. There's a lot of new stuff that's gone up recently, like extended interviews with Gen Z and Todd Howard. There's the first episode of our patron exclusive movie review podcast series. There's even more stuff coming soon. Again, head on over to patreon.com/Noclip, sign up today, and help fund all this cool stuff that we're doing, including going on the road, heading to Los Angeles, filming documentaries with really cool developers, which is what Danny and Jeremy were doing this week. Let's hear what they have to say. What the fuck was that?
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Noclip Podcast, episode 72. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing wonderful. I just ate probably realistically, about 3 to 5 pounds of Thai food.
That's what happens when you've been filming in Los Angeles all day, which is where we are broadcasting this from. We are in the backyard of our Airbnb somewhere near Echo Park, I think.
Yeah.
After having spent 2 days filming. Do you smell skunk? Was
I
that
think
skunk?
we're going to get skunked while this podcast happens.
Oh, that's strong.
It's like beneath us.
I know, we might get skunked real hard. It's nice, the sun is setting here. We're very fucking tired. We have our beers, and we're here to shoot the shit. How are you feeling after 2 days of the first in-person filming we've done in, I guess aside from the very limited stuff we did with Greg and Amir for Hades, and Darren maybe we did as well. For the Supergiant series, we have not done any in-person filming in basically 3 years.
Yeah, it's been a very long time. It feels good to be back at it, but it's also very exhausting. You kind of forget how much work it is to just be like literally on your feet, but also like metaphorically just kind of vigilant for, like an 8-hour block, making sure you don't mess up anything in these precious moments. And it's like a different type of intensity, Editing is kind of like the marathon, and this is kind of like the sprint where if you mess up anything, it's like there's no going back. So it's an intensity that isn't there otherwise.
I've just realized that was the first time we used that camera on like a proper Noclip doc, I think.
Yeah.
Except for recording like stand-ups where I'm presenting or whatever.
Yeah, it's the maiden voyage.
It is.
It did the job well.
Yeah.
It held up.
It's got autofocus, putting you out of a job.
Yeah, the auto leveling is really good. The autofocus is really good. I'm like 70% out of a job, but right. I'm holding on to that last 30 really hard.
We filmed in a space. So what are we doing here? I guess we should probably fucking tell people. So we're here in LA to do a project that we haven't announced yet. It is let's peel behind the curtain a little bit. It's basically the next series we're working on. Yep. So we did a series with Supergiant for 2 years. Jeremy was going in and out of that studio a couple of times a month for a good while there while I was based on the East Coast before I moved back. A lot of people watched Developing Hell. It was 6 episodes long. It ran all the way through COVID. We had to keep going until they got 1.0 out. And then we didn't realize that we were covering a game that won every Game of the Year award and was like the fucking biggest hit. Like, it was just huge. And it was really cool to tell that story. And when we were doing all the, trying to figure out how to work during this stage of COVID where it's like a little bit better maybe, but still, you know, not as bad as it was, you know, this time 2 years ago for sure, but like still like not anywhere near open enough for us to go to foreign studios and be in fucked up tiny offices with people. Like how could we do stuff? And like who's around and who's cool? And we had one opportunity for a studio that was down here to do a documentary, and it was only about a month ago the two of us had a conversation and we're like, oh, actually this is probably a series.
Yeah.
It's probably better talking about what they're working on now rather than what they worked on before.
Yeah. Without getting into details, I think it'll be a proper, you know, I mean, it's not a follow-up to Supergiant, but it's our second series, so it's kind of inevitable to have comparisons. And yeah, I think it's cool. We got to kind of like spend time with those people for the first time today. I mean, we've done a bunch of Zoom calls and phone calls and stuff, but it's kind of hard to know what the vibe will be like until you spend a little time just like in the same space. Because like, you know, on a call, it's kind of like, it's not all business, but there's like, there's a finite period that you block out for the call. You kind of like, you know, I mean, when you're doing a call with like about a project with people that you've never met before in person, you're not going to be like, so how's the family for like 2 hours or whatever, you know? So yeah, it was cool. It went really, I feel like it's a good fit. They seem really interesting and passionate. So I'm super excited. I'm like, I was super excited before, but I'm way more excited now that like I can kind of envision these people as characters and I can see their passion firsthand and stuff. So
yeah, I think I was excited and hopeful, but had some fears that like, because like you said, you never know what it's like until you're in the room with the people and get to know what it is. And with Supergiant, at least there was Greg. Like I'd known Greg. I was a fan of Greg Kasavins, and then I'd known him. I'd interviewed him once at GameSpot and had like, you know, been friendly enough with him. And then, yeah, we met. It was easy to meet everyone else because they were pretty close. Whereas this, because it's in Los Angeles and we're based in in Northern California, it's not as easy. But also getting here is pretty easy. Like we both just drove down. It was, you know, 5.5 hours and done and dusted. Once plane travel isn't psychotic, we might start doing that again. Yeah, and it's also like allows us to talk about the Los Angeles like game dev scene, which I feel like it's not like, I don't think the physicality of studios ever really like is part of the conversation when it comes to games development or game playing. Like only sometimes when like you've got like, oh, The Witcher, they're based in Poland. That's why they made this Polish game. Or like This War of Mine, you know what I mean? Like there's ones like that, but like, you know, people don't seem to care, maybe with good reason, about some of these like locations. But like Los Angeles, and then if you like, I know LA people hate it, but if you say like the greater Los Angeles area and talk about places like Irvine, where like Blizzard are, and Obsidian, and like into Orange County and stuff like that, like it's fucking crazy. Like Sony Santa Monica, Riot, like all the Activision stuff that's here, Infinity Ward, bunches of indie studios. So we kind of get to talk about that a bit, which I think is cool.
Yeah, it's super exciting. There's like not only a ton of big studios down here, but also something that's come up in a bunch of our previous interviews and also just chats with devs is how robust the indie scene is down here. There's like there's a bunch of like indie game collectives. There's a bunch of people who all kind of like it's this very interconnected web. Like I feel like each person we interview adds another node to this web where they're all kind of interconnected in this way. Yeah. And it's cool. Like I mean, that's one of the cool things about indie games is there are smaller teams, but I also feel like there's more of kind of a camaraderie or something, like a sense of openness and a sense of like sharing, like tips of the trade or whatever. And yeah, I don't know, it's cool. Like it's something that really interests me personally too, because I feel like it's not that there's more passion in indie teams, but it's that like it feels more concentrated because there are fewer people, and so it's like. Sometimes people have to wear more hats, but also just, people have to like do a lot to make this thing become, video games are hard to make with like 11 people.
Yeah, it's cool. And the studio we're talking to is like kind of in a weird middle spot there, right? Where they're kind of indie, not really indie, kind of well, I would say that they're definitely more indie than they are AAA, but they're not really like that size indie. They're kind of, they used to be, and now like they're getting a little bit bigger. So
AA.
Yeah, AA, exactly. Yeah, stick it in your pipe and smoke it.
Was that a battery reference?
I started on a battery idiom and I ended up somewhere else. This is all Dennis's fault. Dennis Walsh, who does a bunch of our captions and gameplay and stuff. He's the master of the mixed metaphor. So he would say stuff like, that's a whole other kettle of ballparks. And, he just like...
Truly a wordsmith.
Exactly, yeah. What a man. He should be on this podcast. It's fun. It's cool. We interviewed, so on, I guess we've only been filming for 2 days. We're filming tomorrow. We're basically doing B-roll in Los Angeles. So we can have LA footage as part of the story. The first episode of this will be out in about a month. The trailer for it will be out in about 2 weeks. So it's really pushing it together and getting it out there. But yeah, we spent the first day, we did 4 interviews, but we didn't do them on site, did we, Jeremy?
No, yeah, we rented a little studio of our own, which was cool. It's it's kind of nice to have a little, it wasn't too far from the studio where all these people work, but it's nice to have our own kind of little home turf that people are cycling through. And also it gives us kind of the ability to keep things, COVID safe for people and stuff. And yeah, it worked out, it's also dealing with kind of noise and stuff like that is a black box until you get there, because you never know how close you are to the local recycling plant or whatever. Right. But yeah, it's worked out. It's been a fun trip. I can't believe this is our 3rd day, including travel time. It feels like it's been a million hours, but
dude, we fucking both went to bed at 8 o'clock last night.
I know.
We were just shattered.
I slept for 10 hours last night and didn't wake up super rested.
I don't know what it is. I wonder, it's a mixture of I've gotten older. Maybe my tolerance for the couple of beers at the end of the night isn't as good as it used to be. And also I wonder if COVID has just made me I'm just easier to get into bed. I'm just I'm running at a lower BPM, but I've gotten longer days out of it. So then when I have a heavy day, I'm just fucking burnt. Because I'm used to the comfort of working from home is that you could always just chill out for a while.
Totally. Yeah, so I've before the last 2 years, I probably had taken 0 naps after the age of 5, and I've probably taken 100 in the last 2 years. It's a luxury that filming days don't afford. You can't tell your subject to come back in 2 hours after a nap.
A little bit scared because we have a filming thing in mid-June, but it's in the Bay. It's in the Bay Area, so it's not that hard. But I'm kind of scared because it's 4 days maybe, or it's definitely 3. And it's oh fuck, I'm gonna be pretty wrecked if we're doing all these interviews.
It's gonna be a lot.
Yeah,
but it'll be good. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. It'll probably be our last one before the rest of the summer, because we've so much stuff coming up. So yeah, it's pretty nuts. And then today we recorded a bunch of stuff for Noclip Crew. We recorded a series called Meet the Crew, which are basically interviews with me and you and Frank, just kind of quick little ones. And then we recorded another documentary, which our interviewee very kindly tweeted out about immediately afterwards. She asked if she could take a selfie with us, and I was like, oh, this is going up on Twitter, and then people are going to know, so that's cool. But yeah, we interviewed Lilith Walther, I believe is her surname. I always get that wrong. The creator of Bloodborne PSX, the PlayStation 1 demake of Bloodborne, sort of art project, which was non-commercial. I guess it falls in line with us not being able to talk to studios about their games, so just talking to fan projects.
Yeah, FromSoft and Valve are our 2 white whales, so we'll just do everything adjacent, which is that's not bad, because we end up talking to super interesting, talented people anyway. Who would think that incredibly creative people would be inspired by incredibly creative people?
It was a fucking good interview.
It was really cool. Yeah. Lilith was super interesting, and also she had her ability to speak to technical concepts in a way that is understandable by lay people, I think was really impressive. And I think it'll make a really good piece, because I think I like that feeling when we interview people who are very technically minded and they make you feel intelligent, because they're able to package complex technical concepts in ways you understand. So it's I feel like that's kind of my favorite angle that we hit with Noclip sometimes, is technical stuff, but it's entertaining and kind of keeps a clip. It doesn't get bogged down into the technicality of it. And so I feel like this is a juicy one. It's gonna make you feel like you're getting smart.
It reminded me of the Demon Souls one as well, where it's you can imagine the comparisons visually right there.
Totally.
It's we're gonna have to get Frank to record a lot of Bloodborne and a lot of Bloodborne PSX to
which is really cool. If people haven't played the Bloodborne PSX, the demake that Lilith made, it's really, really good.
Yeah, it's a genuinely I think there was a lot of eyes on our project, because obviously it's somebody making a PlayStation 1 remake, I think, has its own fans, and then Bloodborne obviously does. But the fact that you stuck the landing, like, people really like that game and talk about it. And not only that, but like, to my shame, I had not played past the end of what I thought was the game, and there was obviously all this other stuff there. So it was cool that like we could dive into that and talk about, well, we won't get into spoilers here, but some of like the creative license that she was able to apply to the project.
That actually worked out well though, because I feel like a lot of people watching it won't have played the entire thing. And so I feel like it's good to have that kind of like explainer. I feel like it's going to make people go like, oh, it's all that, and go back and play it for that reason.
Yeah. Gosh. So it was fun. Yeah. Like a good couple of days. Good to get the feet wet with recording again. Yeah. I don't know. I missed this part.
Me too. Yeah. It's a shame that we can't just do this normally, like the way that we used to, without having to worry about a bunch of extra stuff. Because it's fun. I mean, it's like, it's exhausting, but it's exhausting in a very satisfying way. You were comparing it to berry picking earlier, where like the jam making part and making and eating the jam is the fun part. This is the picking part, which is a ton of work, but like, God, there is a lot of joy in that work. Like it's very satisfying. And also just like, there is a sense of community when we get to talk to developers, even though we ourselves are not developers. Like, it's like, I feel like developers are very welcoming to us in a way that makes us feel like we're kind of like outsiders in their community, but welcome into it or something.
Yeah, it's weird. I really felt that on this one, actually.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of them had watched our stuff, which I think that has only increased over the years. Like, nobody obviously had at the start. And then, I remember when Todd Howard had said he'd watched a bunch of our work in the Doom stuff, and that like was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Just imagining like Todd Howard like in his bed at night, is like
watching our YouTube
wife's
videos.
asleep and he's on his phone watching like Hugo Martin saying, it's fucking badass.
It's fucking badass.
Yeah, we tried this fucking Doom, and Call of Doom was bullshit, so we made our own one. It was fucking badass. And then, but like, it was cool. Like, some of the devs, we went to the studio today. We were sort of trepidatious about filming it at the studio because, again, we just didn't know what people were being like. It's a big difference, I think, to us both if there's like a handful of people there and they're wearing masks, or there's 20 people and half of them are wearing masks, you know what I mean? Especially given where California is. I don't know where you're living in the world and what rates are like, but like...
Or when you're listening to this.
When Northern California is not in a great spot at the moment, like the Bay Area in particular is having a real bad surge, and SoCal is kind of like having a smaller version of that, maybe. Not nearly as bad, but like not great. So going in today and seeing like just like a bunch of people who are all wearing masks and being cool, and they had like filters running all over the building, like cleaning the air or whatever. And
that gives me like a little more hope for the future, seeing that there is, because like in my mind, as someone who is pretty isolated and works from home a lot of the time on this stuff, it's kind of like there's a part of my brain that pessimistically assumes that the studios that are working in person are doing it in a way that's kind of like throwing caution to the wind.
Right.
And it was nice to see these people kind of like fighting to keep their in-person, because it's an important part of any creative process, like especially the more collaborative it is. So it was heartening to see a bunch of people working together in a way that like they really like caution was at the forefront of their minds in doing this and enabling people to come back in a way that didn't feel like no one was being forced to come back to the office. And in fact, it wasn't full. There was like a handful of people there, but like
it was like if you went there on a normal day, you'd be like, where is everyone?
Yeah, totally. But just seeing like air filters everywhere and people like really being cautious, and it shows that they care about each other and that they care about this work, but that it's not, they're not grinding people up into hamburger in the process to make games or whatever.
Yeah, one cool thing about this as well, maybe this is the last clue I'll drop, but there is I think no matter where we did the next series, there was going to be an element of like COVID was going to have to be part of the story. It's impossible for it not to. Games development has completely changed, especially in places like in LA, where everyone is bulking up with remote workers, just because everyone else is having to. We were told earlier today or yesterday that like every other studio is doing remote work, so you also have to do remote work to get the best people. So it's just part of it, and obviously it's part of our culture at the moment. It's just like it's there, so you can't not talk about it. But there's a particular sort of element to this studio when it as it comes to like physical well-being, which existed before COVID and is heightened during COVID, which sort of magnifies that part of the story almost. So yeah, I'm interested in covering this game as it goes through development, and it'll be, I don't know how long we're going to stay with it, but sounds like probably a year at least, and maybe 2. We'll
this isn't a hint, but just to hype people up, it is a studio you will be excited to hear about. I mean, at least I was, but like I think people are going to be psyched.
I think a lot of people are going to be excited, and I think a bunch of people are not going to know them maybe.
Oh, really?
And I think that's good too.
Okay, cool. Then maybe it'll be a good intro to these people then, because I mean, if that's the case, then there's an interesting little back catalog to work through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a short but sweet back catalog. Yeah. It's not unlike Supergiant. They're not a million miles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
It's not super big, but it's like pound for pound pretty good. Like with when it comes to the people who are there. So yeah, I'm excited. We'll leave it there. Answers in the comments of what you think we're talking about.
And it won't sign off with guesses.
Yeah, it won't be long. We'll have a trailer out. We'll let patrons know in the next week, basically. We'll put up some screen grabs and shit like that, which will be cool. And then there'll be a trailer up on the YouTube channel probably in 2 weeks' time to let you all know what's coming down the road, which should be pretty cool. We're on to 1 battery on this thing, so
baby,
let's keep going. Let's
ride this train to the end.
Exactly, yeah. Well, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think
will it write the file? If we
it must, right?
Yeah, I feel like it has to.
No one's making a fucking... How much are these Zoom recorders? $80, $100?
At least $89.99.
Yeah, they're not fucking... you record for 5 hours and then it deletes the file. Surely not.
That's always my fear with any recording technology, is that like doing anything will erase files.
Yeah.
I was viewing media on the camera today and I was like, do I need to like tell it not to overwrite our precious interview?
Did you have any stress dreams about deleting footage?
I have stress dreams about work all the time. I had a stress dream that I was in an airport in Europe. And it was like, we weren't even like planning
this trip. Did you have a candle up your ass full of weed or something?
This was like 2 months ago. Like we weren't even planning this trip, and I just had a stress dream that I was like, I was like mid-trip, like I had a layover somewhere at like an airport in Europe, and I had all of the gear from the camera all over the floor, and like security was checking it over, and I knew I was going to miss my flight because I had to repack it all. But they're like, I don't know, what's this? I'm like, it's a camera. You've never seen a camera lens before? I'm just like having to like litigate my entire kit to some security officer. No reason, just stress.
I was going through Schiphol. I don't think it was with you. I think it might have been.
I think you said shitball. Shitball International
Shitball Airport in Amsterdam. And I had this. It was like I had a PlayStation of some description. It had to be a PS4. It was a PS4. And they scanned me like 3 or 4 times on it. Like I kept going through because there was 2 different types I had to get cleared through security for some reason. And both times I got randomly checked. So I don't know what the fuck vibe I was giving off. That they were like
the processor in every PlayStation is made of heroin.
That's what it is.
That's a little known fact.
Yeah. Fucking hell. What could I have? Yeah, I suppose. When I worked in GameStop, you'd always find like traded in discs with like joints in them. It's like pretty common.
That's awesome. That's like such a stereotypical like stoner move. Is like, man, where'd I put that joint? And then you just go trade in your game.
It's always the most stoner ass games as well, like fucking BMX XXX or something.
Yeah, hell yeah, like, dude. Yeah, I mean, I've rolled a joint on a game case, but I definitely never like put one inside of one.
It's like, where's mom not gonna look?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's actually a really good point.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
The other one was the I don't think I saw this. I think I told somebody that story and they told me this, or maybe my manager at GameStop almost did it. But there was that little network adapter, like a little tab on the back of the PS1 and PS2. I think it was the PS2 one was famous.
Yeah, it's like a little brick.
Yeah, so there was like a plastic tab you could pull out where it went in, right? Yeah, so like no one ever had those in Ireland, the network adapters.
I had one so I could play SOCOM.
Oh my God.
I was in the beta test for Project Snowblind.
Project
I wrote them a letter.
Wasn't that the base invasion game?
Oh God, I don't even remember. I can picture the art was like
dude. When you said Project Snowblind, the only thing that came, the box just popped at me. Your man with the fucking gun.
Yeah, with the gun, and it's kind of like red. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, it's like masked or something.
That's like all I remember is the box art. They did a good job in the box art.
I guess they did. Project IGI. You remember what IGI stands for?
I'm going in.
It does.
Of course. How could I forget? Such a recognizable, legendary.
Remember Delta Force?
What, was that a game?
Yeah.
No.
Delta Force series was pretty good. The first Delta Force didn't use polygons. It used, what are the other ones? there's this other type.
Voxels?
Was it Vox? I think it was voxels.
I don't know.
I think it was voxels before like Minecraft voxels or whatever, whoever made voxels.
Yeah, I associate voxels with like in Minecraft and Teardown now.
Yeah, Teardown. Yeah, so they had this in Delta Force, and it basically made it so that they had like infinite draw distance in the game, but you could hit a button if your computer couldn't like fuck with it to like make them blurrier basically, and made the voxels larger, I think. So you'd press this button that would make things sharper. But the game like kind of looked like you had like -2 prescription. It was like stuff in the background was kind of like, it was like you could see really far, but like shit was blur. It's kind of not blurry, but it's kind of like, I don't know, not pixely, voxely or something. It's a fucking fun game though. There's a lot of games like that, just military ass, you know, shoot everyone at the LZ and get out of there or whatever.
It's funny you say that. A friend and I are very into the old Battlefield games.
Oh yeah.
And we've like Battlefield 2 especially was kind of our big one. We've talked a lot about how you can't just like make a mod, like no matter how good it was. Battlefield 2 had like so many good design sensibilities, but even if you like modernized all those and did a fantastic job, I feel like it'd just be boring. Like I feel like in the way that World War II shooters were so overdone at some point that like they had to move somewhere else and started doing like, you know, they're like, oh, well, let's do like Vietnam and then let's do like modern and stuff. It's like I'm dead tired of modern shooters.
Just think about, what the moment-to-moment gameplay was in like Battlefield 1942 or Battlefield Vietnam. It was you against like dozens of idiots. Like they were just like absolutely stupid. Unless they had a sniper rifle and then they'd take your head off from like hundreds of yards away.
Yeah, or one of the 3 planes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the planes were, if you were on like Midway and you were just like constantly getting bombed to death out of nowhere, you didn't have anything could do anything about it. But like, there was no progression, there was no unlocks, there was no objectives really, except for like capturing flags.
It's funny you say that. So that was another thing we were talking about in the same chat. Me and this friend is there's like, I can't remember the term for it, but there's like, oh god, I wish I could remember it. But there's kind of like 2 types of goals where in game playing, where one is like the direct kind of goal, like you're just trying to have the experience, you're trying to get the kills so you have like a good time playing the game. And then there's like the parallel thing where it's like progression, getting kills for like XP or whatever.
Right.
And as much as I love like skill trees and progression and rank systems and all that, there is a way in which it kind of like it cheapens the moment to moment stuff a little bit, because like, and I'm not saying this is like, I'm not like tutting or saying like we should like, you know, I'm not being a gaming conservative and saying we should go back in time, but I think there's a way in which like all of those modernizations of the genre kind of like, it takes you away a little bit from it. Where like back when Battlefield 1942 was just about like going like crawling on the beach for 20 minutes. So you were like 20 feet behind the base, and you could run in and like kill 4 dudes. And you're like, oh, that was sick, dude.
Or like Battlefield Vietnam was about like putting on like fucking Credence in the helicopter and just like shooting everyone to death. You know what I mean? Like
it was vibe-based gameplay.
100%. Yeah. And I guess I'm not sure if like that necessarily equates to like the meta, but I hear what you're saying, like the idea of like there being this out of game progression that is like super important to it. My worry is that like game, because that stuff became so strong, like it's very Skinner boxy. You know what I mean? It's very like, we're constantly giving you rewards for just like spending time with this game basically. And we've figured out a way where it feels like you're achieving it, but really you're just spending time here, and we're just giving you your little food pellet for pressing the button. But like, it's where games like Valorant to me completely fall flat, where like I just don't. It's almost as if they spend so much time on balance and that type of progression and those types of things. Overwatch is a little bit like this, but like Overwatch, at least I like that they created like a believable world around it, and the characters were sort of memorable. Like it's hard to say that about. I feel bad in it because maybe people really like that stuff in Valorant as well. I think Valorant is so derivative that it's hard for me to take it seriously or whatever, but I just think that there's not as much. I guess I shouldn't have picked the games. I'd basically not really played at all, but I do. I got this, I guess, ethereal worry that like games that have really good like unlock trees like that can basically not bother with a lot of the like what makes the soul of a game, like those non-Skinner boxy ways. The reason people play games where there is no unlocks, you know, the reason people play a game because just the being in that game in that moment is enough. Like Battlefield Vietnam, you know what I mean? You go in and fucking Huey kill 100 poor Vietnamese conscripts or whatever.
Yeah, I wish I could remember the concept of those like two types of reward, because the like direct reward versus indirect, because there have been like psychological studies on rats, and when they create like scientific like clinical studies that model those two types of reward, and like the indirect reward is like horrible for the psychology of rats.
Right.
And so it like causes them to be like anxious and depressed and stuff. So I wonder if there is a way, because like I like games like Dota and like Apex and stuff, but I wonder, I have friends who play those games kind of endlessly with no kind of like end goal. And like, and not that gaming needs to have an end goal. Like it should be a self-contained. The goal should be to play the game and have a rewarding or good experience, right?
Right.
And I see friends playing like Dota and Apex, not to single those out because they're both like incredible games, obviously, and they're very well designed and stuff. But I feel like my friends who play them endlessly, as opposed to when they're in the mood, I feel like 90% of the time they're like frustrated because it's like such a high level of play or something that if it doesn't go perfectly, they're like kicking themselves for it or something. It's
interesting, right? Because I think about chess a lot. Obviously, people think about chess a lot when it comes to Dota. It's your chess pieces and like the board is the one board and all that sort of stuff. But one of the other things that I think about chess is that I think people who play chess don't necessarily play chess for fun. I think they play because it's a challenge. It's an intellectual challenge, kind of like crosswords or something. You know what I mean? And that's like Dota. I feel like is in a similar place where it's like it's almost like cognitive training or something.
Interesting. Yeah, that is a good perspective on it, because it's like it's less like a toy and more like a competitive activity or something. Yeah.
It's like a Rubik's Cube. It looks like a toy, but it's kind of not.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because not every, like, games can be so many things to so many people. You know what I mean? Like, they can be, like, stimulating. They can be, like, awe-inspiring. They can be, like, a toy. They can be something that's, like, more, or just, like, frustrating, but in a very, like, satisfying way, or puzzly or whatever. So I feel like the thing we're kind of circling around describing is that the core of a lot of game genres is so well-defined that a lot of the focus there's a temptation to, and I'm not speaking for any design team, obviously. I'm saying this as like someone who fucking tinkers in Unity and just loves playing games made by professionals. But like, there must be a temptation to focus so much on doing interesting trappings of the FPS genre without having to like, because I mean, it's tough to take something like that's so well defined as the FPS genre and just like do something totally different, because it's such well-trod ground. And also there's a certain expectation to a certain scale. Like if you're making a Call of Duty game, you can't just like give everyone bows and arrows, because like your core base would be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, expectation for that stuff is like completely all over the charts. So how about like a game like Valheim then? Because that's like a game that has what you're kind of talking about, maybe like where it's like it doesn't really have like or maybe the crafting recipes are the reward, but it's a game that we're playing it a bunch on the Noclip Twitch channel. It's a game that's just like whenever we're playing, people in chat are saying this game's so chill.
Yeah, totally.
Such a chill experience. Like the moment to moment in that game is just like it feels very I don't know, pure or something, because you're just doing it to do it. It's like nice.
Yeah, the gameplay loop of games like that, because I'm not someone who particularly likes crafting games, but I really do like Valheim, and I think that's part of it is like there are kind of these milestones of progression to tick off, but you can have a rewarding experience doing something that's like totally orthogonal to that.
We haven't ever talked about this on the podcast.
About the jump map? Yeah. So there was one Twitch stream where no one could make it from the Noclip crew except me and Danny, and so I made a CS style jump map to challenge everyone.
It's fucking brutal.
And
the fall damage in Valheim is no joke.
Fall damage is really strong in Valheim, and also if you die in Valheim, you lose skill points. So it's just like making my teammates hemorrhage all their skill points, dying on this
high
jump
stakes.
Map. Yeah, it was funny though. And then I put a little sign at the end with a sacred mystery on it, written obviously, and if you make it to the end, you get to know the secret, but you don't tell anyone. Yeah. But Danny very rudely pointed out that you could read it from the starting point.
At the start, before they had to go.
Yeah, so the non-initiates were initiated.
Yeah, they did a good job though, Dennis and Frank. They found it.
They crushed it, man. Yeah, everyone did really good. Everyone made it to the end.
After crushing their knees multiple times.
True.
Dying. Dennis fell one time, and like you fall from like 8 feet in Valheim and you die immediately. and he died, and just there was fucking blood everywhere. I didn't realize how much blood came out of you. I think it's because he landed on like a part of the world where like if you landed flat, it would only like cover like the ground on like the two pieces beside you or something. But because he landed in a part that had like ground and then a little bit of wood,
he
and then
landed
a
in the
crafting
corner.
table, so like everything. I don't know what that thing. You know what the thing I'm talking about in games. Where like if you do that, it affects loads of stuff because there's more shit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so everything just got completely covered in blood. It was disgusting.
It was a
like,
bloodbath, dude. Yeah, it was like you're running around in the yard playing soccer with your friends, and someone trips and blows their head
breaks
open
their
on the side
nose
of the
or
porch.
something.
Yeah,
It's awful.
it was horrible.
We got to see Frank as well today.
Oh yeah, it was so good to see Frank. We haven't seen him in like 2-3 years.
He said August 2019. It was PAX.
Crazy.
Yeah, so
That's
after
insane.
E3, we did PAX West.
Yeah.
And we had the booth.
Yeah.
And what did we do? We did the voting for people. And
Oh yeah, we had a big board with we put up suggestions and stuff for docs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have we I wonder how many of those we've done now.
I still have them all.
Yeah, we
I
should
still have all those
we should
puzzle notes.
revisit that. Maybe we do that on like a stream or something in the next podcast.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Go through them and see what we've done since.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's like a bunch. I can't remember specific ones, but I know there's at least a couple we've done now.
Yeah, I wonder. We did a lot of new games during, although we did old games too. We did GTA, we did Roller Coaster Tycoon. I wouldn't be surprised if that was one.
I'd be shocked if it's not one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, Legacy of Kain, we will have an update on.
Yeah, it's coming.
We're basically filming something next month, which hopefully is basically that. So we'll come back around to that. And then tomorrow we're gonna go film B-roll in the we could easily go to pond5.com and just like it's probably half of Pond5 is a what would you call it? An asset library, I guess. You can download footage, like filmed footage, what's often known as B-roll, like just like footage that sort of complements what's being talked about. There's also sound effects on it. There's graphics. There's loads of stuff. And Los Angeles is probably half of Pond5, I imagine. But
yeah, I'm sure you could build a Google Street View map of Los Angeles out of Pond5 footage.
I wonder if we should put up our stuff on Pond5. What if we get some money?
Dude, before Noclip started, I was looking into doing like stock footage as a way of making money.
Yeah.
And it's tough to break into, but if you can provide unique footage that's like unlike stuff,
okay,
it's that balance of like it has to be stuff that isn't already well trodden, but it has to be not
As a
weird
market.
enough to be totally useless.
Yeah.
Like you can't just be like the most like opaque weirdo ever and hope people buy it. You know what I mean?
Who's it? It's not. I forget. It's just awful. It's a guy who works in the UK games press or did, who runs the Twitter account Dark Stock Photos.
I don't know that
watch
one.
this. Oh, it's incredible. He's even put a book out. I'm having such a brain fart. It's a guy I like knew when I was back in the UK. But yeah, it's just like the Twitter picture is like a granny with a gun in her mouth. He just finds the like weirdest like stuff. Another one I used to love was Brendan Sinclair, who used to be the news editor at GameSpot, and then he was the news editor at somewhere. He was at US Gamer for a while, and he's to something else. But Brendan used to do a Twitter series where he would post, I think it was an account maybe, where he would post images from video game, what do you call it when you try and like copyright an idea? Begins with patent. Yeah, so video game patents. So it'd be like, weird VR or like controllers or Wii things, but he'd put them with no context. He'd post them just with no context. They were like, you'd be looking at them like, I have no fucking idea what they're trying to patent here. It's like a controller, but it has like, a question mark in it, and it points out to this diagram of a guy screaming, and you're like, what?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that type of madness.
It's funny when people try to patent like video game mechanics. Like
Yeah.
I know this is like a hot discussion among some game devs that it's like, it's a shitty thing to do, I guess, is, like invent a new type of game mechanic that's like only slightly different than something that already exists and be like, we invented skill trees and no one else can do them now. But it's funny that just like, it's like, it's like patenting love. Like,
Yeah.
It's just like no one else can love anyone now.
The worst one was, who was it? Was it Namco Bandai or Tecmo Bowl? I was about to say, whoever was Tyco, whoever was, they'd patented the video game loading screen game.
Oh man.
Yeah, so there were games in loading screens. Oni Chambara has one, so it must have whoever published that, I guess. But then there was a way around it. FIFA used to put in like training modes in their loading screens, and that was their way around it. I think the patent was for a supplemental game, so it couldn't be in FIFA. You would play like FIFA, but on a training pitch as the game loaded, whereas in the patent they had was a different game. So
you play like Galaga on the loading screen.
Yeah, was that for Ridge Racer or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I'm drawing a blank because I'm very tired and I'm on my second shock top here. It's my third. But yeah, Ridge Racer was one. Whoever published, I can't for the life of me remember. Maybe it was Namco, but I forget who it was. That's gone now. That patent ran out. And the other one was, I believe, the Nemesis system from Shadow of Mordor.
Oh, I think
Shadow of War.
It's in Resident Evil 3. That's funny.
Just a big dude chasing you.
You get another big dude that chases you.
Stars. It can't say stars.
Yeah.
R1 says stars.
Yeah. And then Resident Evil has to sue themselves for using it in 2 when Mr. X comes after you.
Oh my God, yeah. And they do it in it's in 7? It's in 8.
Oh, it's kind of in 7 too. The gentleman, kind of like the guy who busts through the wall chases after you a bit.
Is that in 7?
Yeah, the like spooky family.
And then you're
family.
right. Yeah.
When Gomez and Morticia come after you.
Cara mia.
You want to hear a fucked up Gomez story? So the actor, when they were filming the Addams Family movie, someone can correct me on this in the comments. Someone can angrily sound off in the comments if I'm misreporting some part of this. But the actor who played Gomez Addams had an accident and his eye popped out while they were filming.
Oh my God.
And he just popped it back into his skull like nothing had happened, which is the most Gomez Addams thing you could possibly do.
Yeah.
Like that's like method acting.
That's absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
Was that in the first one or second one?
I don't know. I read that and I verified that it was true, but I can't remember specifically where.
Man, I'm trying to remember that guy's name. I'm Googling it right now. I feel terrible.
The journalist?
No, Gomez Addams.
Oh, Gomez Addams. You mean the actor?
Guy's name? Yeah. Oh, whatever that guy's name is. God, I had such a crush on Christina Ricci in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How could you not?
When she's at just like that little nerdy kid in the camp they went to. Yeah. When she like massacred them all as Pocahontas or whatever. I was just like, I need you. What was his name? Fucking, oh damn it. Raul Julia, famous also because he played, I believe, M. Bison in the Street Fighter movie.
Oh my God, I've never seen that.
I think that's Raul Julia.
That's wild.
Maybe I'm insane and I'm saying the wrong thing. Yeah, Raul Julia, baby. M. Bison.
I've never seen the Street Fighter movie. Is it
never
like?
Seen, oh my God, that's the next.
Oh, the next podcast?
That's the next podcast.
Oh, let's do it.
That's the next Patreon exclusive.
Is it kind of like the Mortal Kombat movie where it's like super intense and
Which Mortal Kombat movie is the question?
The original.
They're like, Mortal Kombat? Yeah, okay. So imagine that, except you've got Raul Julia as M. Bison. You have Jean-Claude Van Damme as Guile.
Oh my God.
You have Kylie Minogue. Do you remember Kylie Minogue?
The singer?
The singer as Cammy, right? Yeah, Cammy. She's not Chun-Li, she's Cammy, I think.
It'd be weird if she was Chun-Li.
Yeah, it would be weird. Although this movie came out in 1994 or whatever, so who fucking knows? Yeah, and the rest of the actors I don't think anyone knows about. I'm going through them now and I don't know if any of these are.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's a real crock, but it's kind of amazing. I like the Blanca story it's just a real piece of 90s trash. But
it's so funny to make like a fighting game movie because I can't think of a genre of game that has like less to work with, like because they're like the characters have lore, but there's like all you ever see is like two people on a flat plane beating the shit out of each other.
Right.
You know? Which is, to be fair, that is most of the Mortal Kombat.
Shadaloo is the fucking evil corporation man, which is the reason why Shenlong and fucking...
It's actually really deep. It's actually, if you think about it, it's actually super deep.
It's so funny when because the lore of the original Mortal Kombat is just we palette swapped this fucking one ninja we had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wait, are you saying Noob Saibot wasn't
a
deeply thought out character?
Like, well, we've done red and we've done yellow and blue. Maybe we should do green next time.
Yeah. They're like, hey, get the encyclopedia out. What other colors are there?
What could a green person? Acid or poison? Yeah. Let's make it a reptile.
That's kind of sick though, to just like They're just like, yeah, well, what if he was like green and poison? And they're like, yeah, fucking do it. Sounds great.
This one's not drawing in properly. Let's just make it. It's a bug. It's all right. We'll make it a character in a new game. It's so silly. Yeah. Honda. Even stuff like that where like, what was it? M. Bison was only called M. Bison in the American one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Balrog, who's the boxer, right?
I don't really know Street Fighter.
Well. So Balrog's, at the end of the game, there's like 4 characters you fight who you can't play in Street Fighter 2. So it's Sagat, what's his face? With the Crimson Viper is the only word that's coming into my mind, but no, Vega, Balrog, and then M. Bison's the last one. But Balrog was a boxer who you fought on the Vega Strip. And then, so he was M. Bison because he was Mike Tyson.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, but they were like, I guess, worried in America, so they swapped them around. So I believe it was Balrog was M. Bison, and then M. Bison was Balrog.
That's wild.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I could be getting this wrong.
Is that why M. Bison's so into DMT?
Fucking Balrog.
Is it just like a Balrog, like the Lord of the Rings?
I think so, which would make sense for an end boss, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking Vega, you'd like crawl up on the cage you were fighting in and had a mask. God, what a weird game.
I've not played much Street Fighter at all. My experience with Street Fighter was playing it on an arcade cabinet at the movie theater when I showed up too early, and that's it.
Yeah, you probably didn't get far because that game was hard as fuck.
Yeah, no, I got my ass. I wasted $100 in quarters and then went to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the theater.
You play like Chun-Li, you get her like third. She just does the spinning bird kick or the whatever it is, the thunder thighs kick she does when she like just goes yeah. Over and over and over again.
That sounds
Blanca
awesome.
just spams the electricity and you can't go near the fucker.
I played Marvel vs. Capcom a little bit though.
Nice.
That was cool. That was a good game. There was just a huge flash in the sky.
I saw that too. Your face lit up.
Yeah, it was like, there's no thunder though. What was
that?
that?
Clouds.
Yeah, I think a nuclear bomb I think a dirty bomb just went off over the hill.
It's LA, so it's probably like a David Guetta concert or something.
Yeah, probably with one strobe that just blew up.
All right, well, we should probably go in.
The war is about to start, and we must prepare.
I'm worried that my microphone is so close to my chest that it's been vibrating. So if it has, apologies to Jesse Garasha. Thank you for producing this podcast for us. We're literally going inside now, turning this off. I'm going inside because I keep getting bit by, I've got like 20 bug bites on me. And I
can feel them biting my neck, but I don't want to move because the microphone's right there.
Man, you're dedicated. I just got 2 more on my hand. The only part of my body where the skin out, except for my face. They just got me. But yeah, it's been a fun day. I'm looking forward to getting some B-roll tomorrow. And then you're heading back up to the Bay Area.
Yeah, chill 7 hours on the road. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be nice. A little morning of filming, chill 7 hours on the road.
If you want to stay over somewhere, you can expense it. It's fine. You can go have a night out and
I might take you up on
San Luis Obispo or
I'll see how I'm feeling on the drive. Yeah,
Bakersfield.
Yeah, I hear Bakersfield is nice this time of year.
I know, right? And yeah, I'm going to stay in town for a couple of days. My wife and kid are coming down, and we're going to go to Universal Studios and see some friends we haven't seen in a little while. Do all that sort of shit. So. Yeah, I feel like we're returning to Oakland or to the Bay with like a veritable bounty of footage.
Yes.
And that says nothing of the other thing. I'm doing the remote interviews for another project next week as well. So yeah, there's a lot. We've a lot. Yeah. The summer's going to be fucking packed on Noclip.
Yeah, get psyched. We're back, baby.
It kind of feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. It feels, I mean, like,
I didn't think we were gone.
Yeah.
But now that we did this, I'm like, oh, actually, this feels kind of like this is our shit. Okay.
I feel like we adapted and we kicked as much ass as we could given the circumstances. But it's like, yeah, I feel like this is a return to form in a way that I think people will be happy to see.
But yeah, that's it. That's the podcast. Thanks so much for hanging out. We'll be back in the studio next week with the whole crew together. But yeah, until then, have a wonderful weekend, play some games, and stay tuned to Noclip for updates on all of our various shenanigans. See you later.
Goodbye.
It's so cold, Jeremy.
I said it like the AOL guy.
Goodbye.